Boom, shakalaka.
Boom, chakalaka. Hey, happy Halloween. Happy Halloween weekend, everyone, and welcome to our program tonight. And we're so glad you could pull up your high-powered jet broomsticks and your cauldrons to join us this evening.
Woohoo!
Don't know what kind of spells you're casting, but I'll take some good ones, okay?
I just want some chocolate.
Yeah, I want chocolate.
Give me the goodies.
I'm gonna go out there on Monday and turn these kids upside down and shake them until the chocolate comes out of their pockets.
Hey, you, where you going?
Hey, you, get over here. Fork it over. Give me a Reese's Pieces. I don't care what else you have. Just give me the Reese's Pieces.
Oh, I love that.
And M&M's. Oh, gotta have my M&M's.
Oh, yeah. I know they're the best.
I don't know about you guys, but I tried. I was going to put these big inflatables out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the kids, and I carved pumpkins and all that. But it's been raining and high wind, and the tree limbs have been coming down. And I watched them going down the street today. I live on a hill, so everybody's decorations from up at the top of the hill come down the street today. So I don't know what it's going to be like over the weekend, but yeah, maybe not this year.
You
keep it simple.
You wouldn't know that it's Halloween here in Europe.
Keep it simple.
They don't celebrate that here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a treat for you tonight, and we'll explain that in just a little bit. But first, we want to acknowledge and say hello to our chat room buddies here.
Let's say hey to everybody.
Yeah.
Miss Chloe's in the house.
Hey,
Gotta love Miss Chloe. Grandpa Brian, always a pleasure. David Castle, love to you and the Wookiee Wonder Boy.
The Wookiee Wonder Boy.
I love that. Isby963, always a pleasure to have you.
Hey, Isby.
Kelly, my sister, Kitty Cat. And
hi,
say hi to John, Kel. Hi, John. I see you on the couch watching.
Lucky John there with her.
Lucky Stone, good to have you with us as always. Always appreciate your comments and insights. Truth Seeker Jayashir, always a pleasure to have you as well. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing
Robert's
somebody.
there.
Okay.
Robert's there trying to get Brian on his show.
All righty then. Well, Brian, go on Robert's show.
Big Al. Hey, Big Al. How you doing?
Truth
Seeker.
D. Guthrie, thank you for being with us. Much love to you.
Hi, Mary.
Mary wins. We have something spectacular with Mary wins.
Yes.
Quite an experience last night, as a matter of fact. So we'll get to that as well.
And it's her birthday tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Happy birthday. Have a wonderful day.
Awesome. All right. Well, as you guys know, we love bringing new folks in all the time and from outside of our immediate community and bringing in fresh perspectives and viewpoints on things. And we did that last week with Anne.
Mm-hmm.
But we also enjoy hearing from our own Soul Tribe members and getting their stories and experiences. And so tonight we do have a few things that we want to discuss because Lori and I both vibed so much with Ann Taylor last week when she was talking about the soul types and the different angel frequencies and the kinds of things she does in business, coaching, and professional development. And she also channeled some angelic beings for us and gave us a little fine-tuned spiritual alignment. So that
was great. It was a
pretty
spiritual
awesome
cleanse. Yeah. I was up that whole night. I could not sleep. I was like, oh, damn.
I know. It just fires you up, you know?
It does. It was incredible. So
it does.
I'm super grateful.
So Anne is actually moving and relocating to her new property this weekend and has a bunch of challenges going on. But Lori and I have both independently and collectively discussed what we've been learning from some of Anne's material on her website. We
Mhm.
both took some tests and some quizzes,
Yeah.
and started understanding a little bit better about what these soul types are. And it's uncanny. It doesn't seem to matter. I mean, we vibed with it, you guys, because we're both business owners. We both run companies. We both deal with staff and professional development. And but we also have worked together on Andromeda, bringing this to an evolution.
Mhm.
Other YouTube channels, perhaps. So a lot of you will probably have realized you've dealt with different soul types without really putting it in that context. We all tend to think of things in a psychological aspect, like personality types. That's where that Myers-Briggs testing comes in when you're in business and
Right.
you're putting teams together and trying to figure out who's going to fit.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, in theatrics we do the same thing. When we cast characters, it's up to the producer and the director to determine what personalities and the character types
Yeah, who meshes with who?
who meshes with who
Do
creates
the
that
cogs fit?
chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
so we do deal a lot with people's personalities, and also when in business we're looking at their experiences and skill sets too, because you have to have different types of people to bring something together. But what's interesting is that folks don't typically think of this in terms of soul development or soul collaboration, and what that collaborative process brings about through the process of creation. Because we are creators, are we not? We're creators.
Absolutely, we are.
So Lori has prepared a presentation to kick it off with,
Mhm.
and then we'll just discuss amongst the panel and members of the chat room how these different soul types. It's really good to understand them, because a lot of confusion and a lot of heaviness comes about, and tension, when you're first bringing a company together or even a team together to do something, an organization.
Mhm.
Everybody's got a loving heart. They want to do a charitable organization, set up a food kitchen like Cajun has done.
Mhm.
Um, there's just different things, and people act certain ways, and you can either look at it and go, "Oh, I don't like that person. She makes me feel uncomfortable," or "He's mean," or you can look at it from the perspective of, "Wow, they're contributing that energy as part of this creation process. So how do we transmute that, and how do we mesh with that person?" So it's really a good thing to learn. So
Mhm.
we'll
So
take it from there.
understanding those soul types, that's what
Yeah.
helps you go, "Oh, that's me," or "That's my boss," or "That's that person over there." It'll give you some kind of first aid in how to treat other people. So good stuff. All right,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead
Yeah.
and run that video and check it out. Here we go. Your soul is the part of you that consists of your mind, character, thoughts, and feelings. You can refer to someone as a particular kind of soul when you are describing their character or condition. When soul types are drawn together for a unified purpose, the magic of creation and its energy is quite dynamic, and at times overwhelming, profound, and simply marvelous. The optimizer, the soul type that thinks in a non-linear thought process. They give birth to new ideas. They plant the seed, they create the blueprint, and they physicalize concepts with big ideas, brainstorming, developing those visions, creating new ideas. The expressive. This soul type generates energy from a heart space. It's expressed from within. The thought process connects to their heart, emotions, and they speak what they feel. They speak to others' emotions. Like a plant putting down roots, their inspired influence gives the idea of life. They're very good with words, their creative expression, shared experiences, meaning maker. They're a coach, an intuitive who unify us and finds the truth, a sense of cause. The collaborative soul type breaks through the soil. They reach for the light that gives and receives. They draw the light energy and they connect high standards and they inspire you. They bring in and develop value. They try to get everyone involved and they're good at connecting and communication. The socializing energies of their abilities helps bring the ideas and connections together. The coaching soul type draws in support. It creates the connection with the one-on-one and the sense of personal connection that lifts them up, brings them to the best of the best. And they are the people managers, the ones who develop people seeing the best in each person, the potentiality and the belief in themselves, the deep connections with others, and also the individual connections as well. The learning soul type is the masculine, analytical, intelligent inner drive that is mastery. It's the joy of learning, research, through development. They love to solve problems, fix issues, get the details, clear the path, and they can be a bit abrupt, but they're oriented in learning. The efficient soul type rises up to be the observer. They rise above with a perspective of being efficient, creating strategy, coordinating, anticipates all the steps in a direct way, researches, backs up plans, and can detach from emotions. They anticipate all the solutions, and they can be impatient, and they can see the meat of the solution. The challenges for getting everyone on the same path, very goal-oriented. And lastly, the experimenting. This soul type, generating the momentum, it creates the action process of the structure. It charts your own course, scans data, uses intuitive process of what's important, creates the idea of proceeding forward. Adapting can turn on a dime. They bring momentum and they cut to the chase. They get to the heart of the matter and they get it done. Need to know the information, so they adapt easily. They get to the point and they get the info. They make it happen. So which soul type are you? Are you one of them? Are you many of them? Do they all come into play at some point in your life? Now let's join our team for a panel discussion.
Yeah,
There we
it was.
So we've got the optimizer, the
Mhm.
expressive, the collaborative, the coaching, learning, efficient, and experimenting.
Mhm.
That's really tough to say, like, in my case, like, which of those categories I would put myself into. But then again, I'm the type of person that takes people's labels and tends to rip those labels off,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Mhm.
because I don't believe in labels. I don't think that's very productive. I don't see people as, male, female, black, white. I don't really look at those things. I
Right.
think that's kind of too simplistic. Even though it is useful to know, like, yes, if you yourself tend to be more of an expressive or more like the student type or whatever,
Mhm.
uh, that's useful. But I don't think it's useful to project that necessarily onto other people. It's you can only judge that in respect to like a specific problem or a specific project that, let's say you're putting together, a company. I don't know, we're going to make widgets, so we need somebody to coordinate
Mhm.
transportation, production, marketing, sales, that sort of thing. So yeah, you can basically feel out people or suss them out based on their previous experiences, because if you're the sales type, if you're the
Yeah.
social type, you're going to go into sales. So
Mhm.
as a result of that, you're going to have a tendency to be successful at sales, like I
Yeah.
was.
Mhm.
I honestly loved direct selling or uh, sales,
Mhm.
because I was successful at it.
Yeah.
you know
Hi,
Yeah.
Michelle. Hi, Delaney.
Hi, girls. Good to have
Well,
you with us.
I think that it it's useful to put it into a framework of understanding the different energies. But like Anne was saying last week, and I agree with her, we all because I've played all those roles.
Me
We
too.
all have these different types of energies within us. We have all the soul type energies, but we're born and we come into our now experience probably with a stronger set,
A dominant
a
set,
dominant
I would
soul
say.
type
Mhm.
personality or soul type, and it tends to drive kind of how we have carried our lives forward. You know, like for me, it's always been the more expressive soul type and the uh, coaching soul type more than anything else. Now, do I have all those other skills? Yes, because I had to learn them. That's part of expansion and growth, is that you switch all in and out of all these soul types. They kind of flow through your
Mhm.
your reality.
Mhm.
But there's like a predominant skill set or soul type that's it's going to lead a person to a certain type of project. It's going to lead a person to do certain things in the group. And I've heard people go, "Oh, that broad over there, she's so pushy. You know, she's always pushing her ideas." Okay, but that's because nobody else in the group came up with any ideas.
And maybe she's the optimizer.
Maybe she's the optimizer.
Mhm.
So it's just a framework for understanding what you're dealing with and
Mhm.
looking at it from that perspective, you know. And there's many times where you only have 2 or 3 people wearing all those hats. And so
Mhm.
they have to wear the different hats to get the job done, you know.
Mhm.
So I don't like to label or box people, and in fact I'm the opposite. My as a develop as the coach, I'll go in and find out what you've got inside of you, what gifts and talents. I'm actually looking at your soul type without realizing that that's what I'm doing half the time. I'm just trying to help you bring out the best version of you,
And that's a true coach. Yeah.
because you have all of these abilities. Like, do you realize what your voice sounds like? Do you realize that you're a very charismatic person? Do you realize you're always saying something very intelligent? You know, and so I will help that person realize just by talking to them that they have more inside of them to
Than they
offer
even
the team
realize. Yeah.
than they even realize. And so
Mhm.
I give them a little nudge here and there to get them out of their comfort zone, and then they take off. They usually just take off and they end up being a team leader, or, you know, I've got a
Mhm.
couple that I've coached that are now executives of their own companies, because they started out kind of like, you know, I don't know what I don't know, you know, and they're like sitting there at the table like this half the time. It's like, you've got all this inside of you. You just don't know how to let it come out.
Mhm.
So you need the coaching types to help bring that out of people.
Right.
And
And you've done that in the soul tribe
mhm,
as well. You've done that with a lot of different types of people
yeah, a little
that
bit,
you come in
yeah.
contact. You
Mhm,
really are the conduit, the bridge for a
yeah,
lot of the people in the soul tribe. And you are always there. You're willing to help. You listen. You give your input. You're fair and honest with them.
yeah.
That's really cool.
Try
That's
to
really
be
cool.
most of
Yep.
the time. Try to be, you know.
Hmm.
Well, as Truth Seeker pointed out in his comment, in her here is
Her
her
comment.
comment, her
Yeah.
comment.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Lovely gal.
yeah, it's yeah, I tend to agree with that. That
Hmm.
Yes, truth. Yeah,
you tend to adapt to a situation, but it also depends on your own perception of those people. Like if you don't know them and you think that okay, all these people are idiots, so you're naturally going to assume like a leadership role, but at the same time you're going to assume all those
That
other
would be the
roles too.
learning guy.
Yeah,
that would be the learning guy.
exactly.
You're the learning guy for
Yeah,
sure.
and you're going to try to do all their roles, do all their jobs for them because nobody can do anything as good as I can. And you're going to try to outdo them at their own jobs, and in so doing, you're probably going to run yourself ragged. So that's not necessarily,
Yeah,
a good thing.
You
That's
run
why
yourself ragged.
I try to hold back on that. And like I said, I tend to be the type of person that rips those labels off.
yeah, yeah.
Because a lot of times those labels tend to demoralize people because they have this fixation like, oh well, I'm not really good at sales. Well, have you ever tried sales? Okay. Well, what if that's like your superpower? What if you're like
Mhm.
better than me at selling?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's put that to a test. And a lot of people have that tendency to be uh, to like games or to pit their wits against somebody else in an organization, just so at the next board meeting you could say, "Ha, see, I did this better than you did,"
yeah.
or
Hmm.
Well,
just
that
let's
need
talk.
to
one.
be right.
Yeah,
Let's talk
yeah.
a little bit, Lori, about the optimizer type. Now,
Okay.
that's usually the one who comes into
Creates the
creation
ideas.
of the creates the ideas, right?
Has the dream, sees everything, has the vision. Some optimizers have a hard time bringing it all together. Some can do it. I believe I am an optimizer. I'm actually all of these because I had to
Yep.
wear all these hats to get my business started.
Yep.
And in the beginning, very much like you were saying, Dalibor, I would do everything. I would ensure that everything got done. But in doing so, you don't empower others to do their part or to add what they can bring to it. And I had some
Yeah.
very hard lessons with that, very hard
Hmm.
lessons. And I learned that you have to allow people to be who they are going to be.
Hmm.
But they had to earn the trust level first. And once they earned my trust, and they earned the right to be in that spot.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Now,
that's
did you
You
find
said it.
yourself looking for certain types of people to work with?
yes. Actually, because I'm highly intuitive, I could tell instantly if you were going to be someone that was going to work out for us. Sometimes I would go against my intuitive
Yeah.
feelings, and I would learn from that because it was like, probably should not have done that, but that's okay. I learned something from it and I let it go.
Hmm.
Yeah, the last 3 to 4 years has just been an evolution for what I do at work and how I interact with my employees.
Mhm.
And now it's to a point where I'm actually setting in a really good position because I have very, very strong people behind me that are trusted and they do a great job and they do the best of their ability.
Hmm.
And I think the reason they feel that way is because I served as the example in the beginning. So I had to really run around. I had to be 10 times better than they were. I had to know everything inside and out
Yep.
just to hold the tensions sort of on that string,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
to lead by example.
Yep.
Sometimes I would be the expressive. Sometimes things would come from a heart space instead of a logical space. The collaborative part took a while because I had to learn to trust other people's intuition, their ideas. I had to incorporate that, bring that all together. The coaching was really easy for me because I played a lot of sports in school. So I already kind of had that coaching ability and, bringing people up and getting them to where you need them to be so that you could get the goal of getting the work and the production work done. And then, it kind of shifted into a learning where I was constantly learning about new ideas, new things, new products, how we were going to do things. And then I was able to get things really efficient at that point. And then after the efficiency came, it was the experimental stage. That was really cool because we're like, well, let's try this. Well, we haven't done this before. Let's give it a shot. And 9 times out
Yeah.
of 10, it would work really well.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a cohesive thing. But I'll tell you, if you're not following that kind of a ladder or these types of energies, you can really make things difficult on yourself and you can really make things difficult on other people. And the other thing was being honest, not only with yourself, but with the people around you, no matter what, and being fair. Treating people fairly speaks volumes. Even if
Hmm.
it was my mistake, I would take responsibility for it. And I
Yeah.
expected everyone
Hmm.
else to do the same. If you made a mistake, fess up to it. Let's be honest with whoever we're dealing with, because that's truly what's important here.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you're just setting those standards and you're following that and adhering to them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, in my case, I couldn't be too much of a. I couldn't pick and choose too much among the people I would hire for the various jobs. For me, it was sufficient that they answered my ad. For a particular position, I need somebody to take care of. I don't know, to pull cable for me. Who am I going to get? It's going to be a guy. It's going to
Yeah.
be somebody with experience in electrical installation. He's going to be pretty much a brute, so you have to know how to negotiate with that. And you really couldn't couldn't be too much of a chooser. Because that person accepted his role by by answering your ad. He didn't want to do my job. No, he wanted to do that job, the
Yeah.
job that I had advertised in the paper. So, I had to basically, let him do his job and not interfere with it, despite the fact that sometimes I had a tendency to, want to correct him, like, okay, maybe you should be doing it this way, and not this way. I eventually got to the point where I realized that yes, we each have our own specialty, our own jobs, and I started delegating more. And as the company started growing, I started delegating more and more until I got to the point where I actually delegated myself to somebody else, and that was my biggest mistake. Because
That's interesting.
yeah, yeah, I
So
uh, I hired somebody to do like the books, and that was one of the reasons for the downfall of that particular company.
what was this is very interesting to me. Um, so when you were thinking about the electrician and the type of person you were going to draw in, you just
Hmm.
explained all these different types of people.
Yeah,
And that's exactly what you pulled in.
yeah.
Interesting. So when you went to get your bookkeeper, what were the thoughts that you put out for the bookkeeper?
Well, the thoughts were that I don't have any formal qualification to do this. I basically learned it on the fly, and I'm using software that's kind of doing it for me without me understanding exactly what I'm doing. Despite the fact that I did take 2 years of accounting, but I didn't feel confident enough to do the job myself. I figured, okay, I should be doing management stuff instead of accounting stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the point I'm trying to make is what kind of energy did you put out to draw that type of person in? Did you
Well,
pull this person in?
no, no, this
Okay, so
person.
you
Yeah, this person pretty much like insinuated, because she insinuated herself. She was actually the girlfriend of one of the guys that worked for me, and he kind of uh, because it was a startup company, so everybody knew everybody else on a personal level. And he says, "You really need my girlfriend. She's like a master accountant. She's done accounting for this company, that company." And uh, so I had a chat with her, and she
Mhm.
seemed like the perfect person. So I was like, okay, yeah, except that I didn't know behind the scenes what was really going on. That she was an alcoholic, she was a drug addict, but she managed to conceal all these things like really, really well. So I didn't really know
Hmm.
what the deal was, and I didn't know. She would always give me an excuse like, well, I couldn't really file this the Social Security. I couldn't do the health insurance this month because there was something really important. There was this, there was that, there was the other thing.
So lots of
Until I realized,
excuses.
yeah, lots of fines,
Mhm.
and I couldn't pay the VAT tax. So I was like, oh shit, I really gotta
Yeah.
do this myself. So I said, okay, no, just give me all the books back. I discovered that she had actually done nothing. So
Mhm.
my original intuition was correct, that I should have,
Was
I
it
should have.
intuition or was it the thoughts that you put out that attracted that specific type of person to you?
It could have been a combination of both, I
Uh-huh.
think. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it could have been a
Uh-huh.
combination of both. Because, like I said, I didn't start with the intention that I'm going to have a bookkeeper and an accountant taking
Mhm.
care of these things for me. This
Mhm.
was kind of like an idea that somebody else put in my mind. Like, you need an accountant because you're
Right.
not an accountant. You're just the owner of the company.
But you're
Hmm.
smart enough
See
to
what I
know
mean?
that you can learn how to be an accountant, and
Right.
Yeah,
that's what ultimately you ended up doing, right?
exactly. Yeah, that's it. That
Yeah.
is exactly what I ended up doing.
So the point I was kind of trying to make was, when you understand the law of attraction and that you're pulling these types of energies in and you're putting those thoughts out there of the types of people that you want to come in,
Hmm.
why not put out what you want instead of what you don't want?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I started to do that and I noticed a major shift. And I would
Hmm.
just say in my mind, I need someone that can do this, that, and that. I need them to be smart. I need them to have their own vehicle. I need this, bup. And then I'd let it go. And then that person, days later, would walk through my door and they were exactly what I put out. And
Hmm.
Hmm.
every time I did that, I had success. And each time that I didn't, or I had any doubt about what I was doing, that's exactly what I got.
Hmm. Hmm. See,
So I just wanted to share that.
that is interesting. Yeah, yeah,
Mhm,
I can totally resonate with that. Except that it seems like in the last 18 months, because of the situation, it seems like all those rules have been thrown out the window. Where you're again like stuck in a situation, just like when I was like what 23 and doing all this, or
mhm,
24.
mhm,
Where I didn't have the money necessarily to hire the best people, so you got to make do with whatever comes your way, pretty much.
mhm,
And in this crisis, when you talk to other business owners or other people, you discover that everybody's having the same problem getting people to do anything for you. I don't know if it's just a German thing, if it's just a Germany
No,
problem,
no, we
but
all
it's
experience that.
No, it's in
everybody.
And especially
every
now with
business,
the
every
cootie bug.
project. Yep, every
Mhm,
Hmm.
business, every project, every
yep.
organization.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It
Yep.
can't hurt to put out what you really
Yep.
want to bring in and then
Hmm.
be open to that. It can't hurt you a bit. Try
Well,
it.
all you really need the power behind this. I don't want to use the word power, but the creative juice, the creative
Mhm,
flow and energy, the
Hmm.
goodness that comes from the dynamics is if you have 2 or 3 people working together to try to pull all this together, people will come to you because they'll see it.
Yeah.
Because if you have the expressive person on the team, the expressive soul type, and for us, it's people like Jules. You've got Crystal. You've got
Hmm.
all these high, personality, high energy personality types. People are attracted, and it brings people in, and then they see how you mesh together, and then they want to be part of that process. Oh, I might like to work for that team, or I might like to be
Hmm.
part of that project. And
mhm.
so it ends up bringing in, well, there's your learning person, there's your experimenter, because they
Hmm.
Now,
already
see,
rec-
someone like you, it's easy for you because you're used to pulling this person here and bringing this in. And I can
Hmm.
see Dalabor's situation where he's just the sole,
yeah.
you know, proprietor bringing in
Yeah.
what he needs,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then understanding that, well, I've got to save money, and the best way to do it is do it myself. I can't trust other people, so I got to learn how to do it myself, and I've
Uh-huh.
got to make this work. And he does, and
Hmm.
he's successful
Yeah.
at it.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a different type of company. It's a different type of approach that he's taken, and
Mhm.
Hmm.
he's letting all of those
He
aspects of
wears
him,
all the
all the
hats.
soul hats.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, all the
Mhm.
soul types are in.
And
They're
yeah,
in all
and
of us. They're in all of
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
when I look back at my life, like professional and non-professional, you could say that I've worn all of the hats, exactly as you
Yeah.
said.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely.
Yeah.
And you did that in lifetimes before too.
I know that. I know
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
You just brought that with you this
Well,
time.
actually, this time
Yep.
I was really successful with this last tradesman that I brought in, and he was a very young man,
Mhm.
really enthusiastic,
Uh-huh.
and I kind of saw when I first met him, I was like,
Mhm.
I had good vibes about him because he reminded
Yeah.
me a lot of myself when I was 23. This guy was also like 23, a really young kid,
Bingo. So you saw
full of
yourself in
energy.
him.
Yeah, full of
Yep.
energy, full of enthusiasm. He was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and this, and I'm gonna do it like this, and this, and you sure did. Yeah. Mm.
I just,
Nice.
I know you're in there chatting with people, Lori, but I just wanted
Mhm.
to say hi to Tania
Mhm.
and Brandy and Claudette. Good to see you all. And
Yes.
Brother Barry, Elder Barry is in there.
Mhm.
And I didn't get a chance to say because I'm not on the keyboard to can't type to you. Brandy, AB,
Wolfman Elderberry.
AB, Wolfman, yeah, Elderberry. Yeah, good to see you guys. Yeah, so Lori, with the organization and planning
Mhm.
people, the
Mhm.
ones so you go from the person who's bringing the objectives and the visions, and you've got the expressive types. You're saying, okay, how do we artistically
Mhm.
bring this about? And then you've got your collaborator, team builder, who's out there trying to bring those elements into a project environment or a team environment. And then comes the people that I spotted with you, and the efficiency people.
Mhm.
These are the ones that are like, okay, you've given me all this now. I've got to figure out how to make this all flow. and I have to make decisions, and I'm going to cut this, I'm going to cut that, we're going to red X. And so that person is the one, the rest of the team just goes, ah, because this
Mm.
is nothing like what we envisioned.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
almost takes the emotion out of it. And the emotional part is really the exciting aspect of it, if you ask me. But you do need that person that can come in and just cut the crap, cut to the chase, and get to the meat of it and make it happen. And because they're goal oriented and they understand that
Yeah.
things have to be done a certain way, and they don't like to waste time. They want to get it set up and running and going. And they just see it as wasting time. They do not like to waste time. And
Mm-hmm.
when they get like that, they can become short, and
Yeah.
sometimes they can hurt feelings, especially someone who is expressive. You can really kind of walk all over those types of people because they come from such a heart space all the time. And it's interesting because if you know this about people and you understand the inner working of it, you can change the dynamic, or you can shift it, or you can bring this person over here and that person, and well, this one works better with that one, and you've recognized that. So I guess it just comes from experience, and learning what works and what doesn't.
Well, I know one of the most frustrating things for me as the person who's bringing the vision in, when I was creating my own companies, it's like I have a certain view of the way I want things to go. I've been inspired to do something. I've got this concept, and here's how I see it. Here's how I envision it. And I want people to implement my vision as best they can. And so it's very frustrating for somebody like me when you've got all this infighting between these different types because they don't understand each other, or it's because I can't let go. I feel the need to play every role myself, and so I start telling people what to do, and it's like, no, they need to have that organic flow. They need to have that experience, and I need to sit back and realize this might not be 100% what I had in mind, but okay,
It's a give and take, a
But
push
if you
and
go
pull.
in like, I want to, this is going to be my way or the highway, and it's like, no, then you
that
don't know
doesn't
how.
fly with
Then you're not a
anyone.
creator.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not a creator, and you're not participating in the creative process because you're taking everything from a militant view. This is my baby, and this is the I said this, and these people are going to do it this way, or they're going to get the highway. And it's like, no, this isn't the military. This isn't, this is a creation. We're trying to create something. So people need to be creators.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
got to give them enough structure to keep it together, but to
Yeah.
allow that organic creative process flow
Right.
between them.
And
And
it's
time to build relationships.
Yeah, things have to grow and evolve. Yeah, no doubt. Teresa, what do you think about Truth Seeker's comment here? What about abusive relationships? Is that attracting that negative energy, or do soul contracts also play a role? How would you answer that?
Abusive
Whoa.
relationships. Woohoo.
It seems, from personal experience, all these Hitler types, they're usually not. They're usually not in like upper management. They usually tend to be really low-level people who expend all their anger at their lack of success in various areas of their life on people that they feel they can get away with it, like their family.
But I think what I would agree with that. Truth Seeker. This is true. I just recently learned about the soul contracts, and it changed my total perspective. It flipped my whole perception of things, and it has freed me to no end that you wouldn't believe. And it's changed me internally as a person, and put me in a place of coming from a heart space as opposed to my mind, because it's true that you're going to be put in situations of abuse. It's a lot of things involved with that, but you have to realize it's not something that you're doing deliberately. But yes, I have contracted with certain people to be abused by them because there's something to be learned to strengthen my journey, to increase my experiences, and to help me grow and expand and reintegrate myself. So recognizing that that negative energy is there in that room with you, or is being abusive on the team or in the company or even in your own family, they're there because they have a role to play, because you agreed to let them play that role so that you could figure out how to flip that and transform it to
Mhm.
expand and grow, because that's what we're about. We're about expansion and growth. It's not
Mhm.
that you necessarily did anything. I certainly didn't do anything as a 4-year-old or a 6-year-old to deserve some
Mhm.
things. I certainly didn't do anything in my teens to deserve anything, but they were evidently things that my soul and my spirit needed to experience in order to expand and grow. So
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes putting a project together or working on a company or building something, you're going to learn
So
a lot of
it's
lessons from the people.
it's interesting. It's an interesting that Truth Seeker brought this up because
Mhm.
you might think that if you find out, let's say you do have a company and you find out that somebody is abusive, surprisingly enough, those are not the most dangerous people to have in your company. I'll tell
Right.
you what the most dangerous person to have in your company is: the optimist. That is the most dangerous, especially
Because
if
they
it
can't deal
happens.
with the reality of anything.
They
Yeah,
can't deal with reality.
Yeah.
They will believe their own
yeah,
bullshit to such a degree that they are able to convince everybody around them that red is green, that blue is red, and vice versa. And
Mhm.
people tend to believe them because they've convinced themselves of something that is simply not true. They'll believe everything uh, just out of instinct almost.
Mhm.
Everything's good. Oh, this happened. All right, that's good. We can work with that. Well, no, not everything. So that's the one type of person that I found in my personal experience. That's actually quite dangerous. Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm
From a soul um, from a soul aspect, you can control what goes on in you, but you can't control what's going on with other people. And for me, that gives me a lot of
hmm
power because I choose whether or not I'm going to play with you, or if I'm going to partake in whatever it is you're dishing out, or if I'm going to turn and walk away, or if I'm just going to not decide to not go there.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of power in that. And I
Yeah.
practiced it. And let me tell you, it freaking works like a charm. But also, you do have soul contracts that does come into play. Certain soul types or soul contracts are contractual, but sometimes they can be broken. And it is as simple as saying, I no longer wish to continue this
Don't want to do
relationship.
this. Yeah.
Hmm.
And when you
Yeah.
do that, you sever those ties, you cut the cords, and no longer have any kind of
hmm
hold over you because you will not allow that to come into your now. You
Hmm.
control what's going on. There will be times, obviously, that things are going
Yeah.
to happen out of the blue, but it's staying in a neutral, non judgmental,
Yeah.
non.
Now, in business, that's harder to do because
It
as a
is.
business owner, as a team leader,
Mm-hmm.
or a director of a department, I have had to let people go
Hmm. Oh
after
yeah.
trying to coach them and trying to get them to work with the other team, but being such a destructive force to the client and the staff members and all the people on the team. It's like,
And
you got
that's
to
why you
go,
need
because
you
we have decided collectively as a group we're
yeah.
not going to put up with this anymore.
Right, and you need a strong leader, and you need someone
Yeah.
that says, "Look, this is how it's gonna go, and we're
Yeah.
not gonna do this, and we're
Yeah.
gonna move on, and we'll make things work, and
Yeah.
we'll
Hmm.
evolve on our own."
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
That's one of the most important things you can learn in life and as a company owner is
Mhm,
to know how to say no, and that also means to know how to fire somebody. Like the
mhm.
first time I did that, it was tough. It was tougher on me than it was on him. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it was
There's a lot of, guilt that comes with that,
yeah.
but if you're being fair and you're being honest with yourself and other people,
Hmm.
then you're gonna treat that person fairly, so you're gonna know in your heart that that person created that situation,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and you're not responsible for how they're acting, but you know
Exactly.
that you can't accept that, attitude or type of behavior, and
Hmm.
so at that point they've done it to themselves. And basically,
Mhm.
you've just given them the rope to hang themselves,
Hmm.
so to
Yeah.
speak. And
Hmm.
and I've said that many times. You're a great
Hmm.
person. I
Yeah.
like you personally. I like you, but unfortunately, you're just not getting the job done. And it's that simple and
Yeah, it's just when you
has to
have
be done.
it's so much easier, not easier. The challenge is different. The energy is different. The environment
Hmm.
is different in a small business
Hmm.
than
Yeah.
it is in a corporate environment.
Even in a corporate
Corporate is
environment,
completely different
it is.
from, yeah.
Hmm.
Because they have so many rules, they set things, you have to follow each and every
Oh, and let
deal.
me tell you something else. Working with a nonprofit, like a food bank or a humanitarian type cause,
Oh
company,
boy, I bet.
environmental, because that's where you'll find all the empaths that Brandy's referring to. You'll
Okay.
find all your expressive types. You'll find
Mhm.
your empaths,
Mhm.
and so they're trying to do this feel good
Yeah.
jive, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden in
Well,
comes
well,
to
how do you
them
feel
Arnold
about that?
Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, the
Yeah.
Terminator, and and
Hmm.
that dude
Mhm.
or female, whatever, comes into
Mhm.
that environment and says, "We got to cut this, we got to cut this, we got to cut this, we can't do this, we can't do that,
Right.
and this is why, blah blah blah." And then
Uh-huh.
and and here's your new document, here's your new mission statement, boom, and
Yeah.
everybody's like,
And bye-bye. Have a great lunch.
Yeah.
and there's no crying in
Yeah,
baseball.
exactly.
There's no
Exactly.
crying in baseball. Just you might hate me, but we don't have the
Hmm.
budget. We don't have the funding. We've tried this. We've tried that. We got to get this up and running. This is what the people are expecting. And here's how we're going to do it. That's the
Yeah.
That's the person that comes in. That what is that, Lori? The not the learning. Well, there's the experimenter and the learning.
Mhm.
They do the research. They go out there and find out this can't be done the way you want it to be done.
Mhm.
We've done the research. You're going to fall on your face, and all the expressive types that are out there wanting to
They're
do all
going,
these
"We
touchy
gotta
feel good things.
try."
Well, if you do, we got
Hmm.
to. But
Yeah.
no, you can't
And you're
always
like,
get
"No,
what
it's
you
not gonna
want.
work."
No, yeah.
So, yeah,
So,
so it's
but
so the bottom
you,
line is controlling
yeah,
yourself and how you
yes,
react to others. That's
right,
where the
Yeah.
practice comes in,
yeah,
and once you master that, once you really
yeah,
get that, things really shift and change for you.
yeah,
Not to say that you're not gonna have those times where you're like, "What the hell just happened?" And you wanna get emotional
yeah,
but you've got to calm yourself and stay logical and just think about what's going on and be like,
yeah,
okay, stand back, go outside,
yeah.
go into another room, go get something to drink, do something to just break up that connection.
And I
Hmm.
tell you,
Yeah.
your marketing and sales people talk about narcissists.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I swear to God, in the '90s, they had their blow dryers at their desk, just blow drying their hair, and it was just like, oh my God, these people drove me nuts. But we have to get the information out there so they have their role to play.
Yeah,
Whether it was contracted with you or not on a soul level, their soul type has brought them all through their career up to this point, and that's what they do.
right. And
That's
they're
what
Sure.
very
they
good
do,
at
and
it.
they're very good at it. And it's
Hmm.
like it might annoy you and get under your skin,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
they're very good at it. And so, and they're not going to necessarily come at you from a love perspective. They're in it to make because marketing people get paid
Right,
to make
Yeah.
a sale.
right.
They
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
commissions, a
Hmm.
lot of them do. They get some
Hmm.
salary and then they get commissions, and they don't have time for you to throw a
Yeah.
temper tantrum.
Some of them can be quite ruthless. Yeah, marketing people.
Yeah,
I've worked with that. Yeah, I've been a
yeah,
marketing person myself. Yeah.
yeah,
So, but sometimes, it's not just let's say the company owner or the company director that makes all the decisions. Sometimes it's actually a group thing that can take a person straight off the street and mold them to do what that company needs to do.
yeah.
And I think the perfect example of that would be the movie Bowfinger, if you
Hmm.
remember, where they had their hearts set on Eddie Murphy playing the main role of this movie, and he sees the script, he turns it down. So what do they do? They go to Plan B. They
Hmm.
orchestrate all these events around him to make him react a certain way that actually makes him part of the movie without being part of the movie, without knowing it.
Yeah.
Where
Right.
at the end, when he sees the final product, he's like, "Oh yeah, that was pretty good actually."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like Paul Joe, run, Forrest, run.
Yeah,
Ah,
Oh, yeah. David, you're right. David Castle, trying to teach someone that mind is closed is like trying to run through a brick wall. Sometimes it's best to let them reach rock bottom before they can understand better. Absolutely. There's so many people that are on different levels and they're just engrossed in the 3D
yes. Yeah.
and they're
hmm
not using that spiritual uh, whew, power. They're
yeah,
not in touch with that, and that
Yeah.
makes it difficult. But when you understand how these things work, you can come at it from a different angle. But he's right, you got those people that just bang their head against the door until they start bleeding, then they pass out, then they just fall. And you're
yeah.
just
It's
standing there going, "Okay.
yeah.
Is he
There's
gonna
a
live? Is he
uh,
gonna get up?"
yeah.
Yeah,
I like
There's
what
a
Lucky's
right.
good point.
saying here too. The problem is not the problem. The only
Mhm.
real problem is your reaction to the problem.
That's exactly
Yeah.
It's
it.
all in your power, and don't give
Mhm.
up your power.
That's it.
Yeah.
Never give up your power.
I tend to used to think of problems as challenges, and I would tell the
Sure,
people
we
on
all
the
do.
team. I would tell the
Mhm.
people on the team, it's not a problem.
Uh-huh.
Stop fighting.
Mhm.
Stop fighting yourself and stop fighting everybody else. It's not a problem. It's a challenge for you to collectively. That's why you're here, to find a way to collectively lift up above all that negativity
Mhm.
and focus on what's going to get our collective vision moving forward.
Mhm.
Change
Sure.
the way you think about each other, change the way you think
So
about the
you're
situation.
redirecting and you're bringing them
Right,
back to the goal and
right,
let's stay focused on what has to be done. Yep.
right.
hmm
And then,
Yeah.
if necessary, okay, so you obviously need some help. So then I go out into the community and find that right resource that I can bring in. Oh, they're not part of the team. They don't have the vision. I'm like, they don't. They've been told what the vision is. They're bringing a fresh perspective. You haven't been able to solve it. You're all fighting. So
hmm
let's get a fresh perspective on it from a person who might be able to help us take this vision the next. So it's okay to get help and bring in new resources, you know?
hmm Yeah.
And that's another thing, is recognizing how to make those bridges between people.
Mhm.
Like I'll go, oh, that person would do really well with Scotty Roberts, or this
hmm
person would be really at home with Rocky Stucci. So why don't
hmm
we introduce these people? Because making connections of like-minded people, or even people that can vibe with another person, and seeing where those connections are, is really paramount to creation. That's how you
Mhm.
create. You procreate and you
Mhm.
create through connection, you
And
know,
being the observer as
and
well.
being the observer. So you sit
Mhm.
back and observe the reactions that different people have,
And
look at
don't
the
play.
dynamics and bring it together. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's trial and error, and sometimes it works out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can't always. But getting back to the problem of problems, I was one of the first jobs. I should say the first job I got when I moved to Europe in 1991. I worked for a Dutch company, and
Mhm.
one of the sayings that they always had was, "We are not interested in the problem. We're only interested in the solution." Okay,
Mm.
and why? Because I was basically like the interface between the Czech part of the company and the Dutch part of the company, because I was the only one who spoke Czech and English. And the most of the discussions were like, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this person's an idiot, this person's an idiot. So you bring in somebody else or a different department. This is bad, this is bad, these people are idiots. So what do you distill out of that? Because if you add them all up, everybody's an idiot and nobody knows what they're doing. You know, which isn't
That's right.
true,
That's
because
right.
the company has been functioning up until now, given the constraints of the socialist system
Yeah.
that we were
Mhm.
like revising or getting them
So
out of.
So now I'd like to take a moment, because it's 9:58, and I'd just like to say, because we have a couple things, Michelle, I have not shared your memes yet, and I will.
Mhm.
But uh, one of the reasons I was interested in pursuing this with Anne and pursuing this on our show with Laurie is because we are the awakened ones. We are doing our self improvement, working on ourselves spiritually. We're not part of what's out in that energy field of corporate land. We are loving, caring beings, spirit beings. And so we have an opportunity to do things a little differently than most other companies because we're tapped into each other, we're connected to each other. We recognize and respect and appreciate our soul types, or we should. And it's not always true because all of us are at a different level of learning here. I mean, how many times have I stormed out of a chat room?
Mm,
How many times did I just turn off the Snapchat screen and go, I'm out of this meeting? You know, because we're all human. But now I'd like to think that here we are 6 months later or 7 months later, I wouldn't be so quick to push the button and say, I'm not going to do this.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
because I've changed too.
Yep. You react
But the
differently.
fact is that we're in a spiritual community, and understanding that these soul types are our brothers and sisters, just expressing their predominant character
Soul type.
and soul type that
Mhm.
they were born into, and so we find a way to work with that energy,
Mhm.
and then step into that energy, learn from it, and you never know because the next project you approach or the next group you interact with, you might be bringing
Mhm.
out that soul type in you. So we have a chance to share, with one another. So,
Mhm.
but speaking of a developer, a professional development type of person or a
Mhm.
coach,
Yeah.
here's Coach Michelle. You know what Michelle
Yeah.
does? You know what Michelle
Yes.
does?
Oh, go for
I'm
it.
gonna pick on you, sissy.
I love this. Go
Haven't
for
picked
it.
on sissy in a while. So you know what she does? You know how different people have different ways of meditating. And what Michelle does, because of the environment that she's in and the challenges that she faces, a lot of her meditation comes from reading these memes, going through these different spiritual sites that she visits, and she will take in these different sayings, these different memes, and she'll absorb them and collect them and put them out there for the rest of us to take advantage of. So we'll read it, we'll feel the message. It speaks to us just like a tarot card would speak to us,
Mhm.
but we can also refer to it and go back and share it out. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of sharing going on, and that's her way of bringing out people because people might contact her then and say, I really needed to hear that today. I've really been upset, and she might go one on one with them. She's very much herself, even though she's still learning like everybody else. She's also a coaching type. Okay, so she's using other people's expressions to help her with her coaching. And here's a couple that I picked up on recently. This is one of my favorites.
Okay.
There is a life force within your soul. Seek that life. There is a gem in the mountain of your body. Seek that mine. Oh, traveler, if you are in search of that, don't look outside. Look inside yourself and seek that instead. Rumi. That's Rumi.
Hmm.
Another one here, cropped up while Michelle and I were just talking before the show. At the end of life, what really matters is not what we bought, but what we built. Not what we got, but what we shared. Not our competence, but our character.
Mhm.
And not our success, but our significance. Live a life that matters. Live a life of love. Author unknown.
Hell yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Hells
thank
to
you.
the yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
That's
Michelle.
awesome.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yep.
So she puts those out there like 20 or 30. And sometimes she'll do 20 at a time, or
Well, they're
sometimes she'll
very
do 10.
profound. Yeah. Yep. She's picking
And
up on it.
yeah, picking up on it and spreading that out there. So that to me is one of those expressive types, but it's also a coach. You could be a coach
Yeah.
and not know that you're being a coach.
A coach and an expressive. Yeah,
Hmm.
for sure. Yep.
Yeah, and our efficiency person, our experimentalist and our learner, Karen,
Mhm.
is not here tonight. So,
Yep.
but she would
Yeah. Oh.
definitely fit that role. She comes right
Oh,
in.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
She
yes.
comes right in and she's like, "Here's the plan." Bat, bat, bat,
Mhm.
bat, bat.
Here's a good example of an expressive that everyone knows in this little
Uh,
community, and that is Jules.
uh-huh.
Jules
She's
always comes
quite the
from that heart
expressive.
space. Yeah. So that would be a good
Mhm.
example of an expressive. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
it's not to say that the other soul types don't come from a heart space
True.
because most of them do.
Mhm.
They're every bit as committed and have just as many frustrations with the other soul types as any other one.
Mhm.
But it's just that they they happen to specialize. They're really good at researching. They're really good at testing the waters. They're really good at formatting and structuring, creating outlines, creating project plans. They're really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
They could cut to the chase and be really good at it. But they're so
Mm-hmm.
focused that they sometimes don't take into account the feelings
Mhm.
of other people. But that's not because they don't come from a heart space.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It
sure.
comes
Yeah.
down to who you are and
Hmm.
how you present yourself in the world, and understanding that words have meaning and that you need to choose. No, see, not need. You could choose words that fit better and
Yeah.
are more wisely put together.
Yeah.
So consider that aspect as well.
Well,
But
yeah, transforming your language and
Mhm.
how you say things and see things. In fact, John and I at Max Vision Remote Viewing were talking about this the other night in David Null's,
Mhm.
and we're going to talk about it again tomorrow night on John's.
Yeah.
And it's communication. Um, I've had ups and downs. People who have known me know how abrupt I've been before. I used to be a lot more diplomatic than I have been in the past couple of years. It's because things came to a point in my life where I was ready to go boom. And I finally opened up. Everything became a bottleneck, and but during that period of that tension,
Mhm.
my language completely changed. My brother will tell you, my family will tell you, you're more curt
Mhm.
than you've ever, you're more. So I got real, kind of,
Mhm.
and it would affect the way I was communicating with people. But
Well,
it took what 2 or 3 years to flip it back around again. So
Mhm.
it's a learning process, and each of
yeah.
these different soul types has a different
Hmm.
learning trajectory, I should say.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And most people, as Paul Joe said, we need more mentors. I would say we need more
Yeah.
we need more actors. We need more people who do things instead of
Yeah.
just theorize about them.
Yeah.
You know why? Because a lot of people didn't. I was lucky in that I always followed my dreams. I always did all the crazy things that you can imagine, like start a company at the age of 23, do all this shit, and go through all the mistakes. Because now
Mhm.
I've come to a point where, yeah, I've made all those mistakes, so I won't repeat those same mistakes again. And nowadays, I would say, well, maybe you shouldn't really, start a company when you're that young. Maybe you should wait till you're my age right now. But
I think
that's
that
not
way
what I
too.
did.
I'm like, you have
That's not
no
what.
idea what you're in for.
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean,
Exactly.
clueless. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but on the other hand, I would not have gotten to where I am had I not undergone all those
Exactly. So
experiences and made
being
all those
afraid
mistakes.
didn't
Yeah.
get you there.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
Jumping in with both feet got you there,
yeah,
right?
it's like not just thinking and not
Yeah.
just feeling, but
Mhm.
also doing.
The expressive part of yourself.
Express it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Whether that's taking up some kind of an art form, or finding a hobby, or I don't know, something to develop, like other areas of your personality that could integrate with that main part of your personality, and
Mhm.
complement that you
Mhm.
could uh, because it's life isn't all about work, and you're never going to regret on your deathbed that you didn't spend enough time on the job,
Right.
especially when that job consists of working for somebody else.
Which comes down to the meme she just talked
Yeah.
about. When really, in actuality, when it's all said and done, it's just about the memories, the connections that you
Yeah.
make. It's
Yeah.
not about how much money you make, because you can't take it with you. It doesn't work that way in the etheric realms.
Hmm.
How were you present in your life?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that.
Hmm.
How am I present in my life? And
Exactly.
how am I going to project who I want to be?
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and not just that. It's necessarily the successes you've had that you
Right.
can transfer, but the feeling you had when you had those successes. If you can, like, let's say you're in a challenging position, and you're at, like, your, I don't know, let's say a job interview. Well, you can think back to when you were successful and you were holding $500,000 of your own money.
Yeah. Yeah.
What feeling did you have when you were holding that cash? You know,
Mhm.
and try to get into that feeling, and try to make that convey in your every action, word, thought, and deed.
Law of attraction. Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
folks, where does the magic, we use the word magic in collaboration with these soul types.
Mhm.
So, Lori, what's the magic to you in all of this?
Honestly, understanding yourself and knowing yourself and connecting with you and
Hmm.
being and trusting it within yourself. Uh, Paul Joe said something. Hang on just a second. He said, I second guess myself sometimes. Yeah, I used
Yeah,
to do
That's
a lot
good.
of that
Yeah,
myself.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
But as you
yeah,
get to know yourself and you start to trust and believe in yourself, that falls off. That'll fade away little
yeah,
by little, but it takes practice and you have to
yeah,
consistently work on it just like a muscle. And once you do, it's strong and it's much easier to do. And you don't second guess yourself.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Fear comes in when you second guess yourself. You're allowing fear to come in because it's that thought of what could happen,
Hmm.
and you've
Yeah.
got to stay away from that. You can't get
yeah,
caught up
because
in
you
the
could think
fear
yourself
because
into
fear will
oblivion.
lie to you.
Yeah,
It will
Hmm.
tell you things that aren't real yet.
Yeah.
So
It's
why do that? I
yeah.
mean,
You're gonna if
it's
you're
not
gonna.
logical.
It isn't. It
It's
isn't.
emotional.
No, well, not just that, but you got to think in terms of probabilities, and you can't overanalyze the situation. Yes,
Mhm,
I can walk outside my house and get run over by a truck, but what is the possibility of that happening? No, is that going to
mhm,
make me stop from going outside my house when I need to do
mhm,
something? No, you can't.
mhm,
You can't overthink yourself. That's what I'm talking about when I'm saying we need more people to act. And
mhm,
sometimes acting, even if you
mhm,
do something stupid, but it's meaningful, it can have like a
mhm.
better. By stupid, I don't mean like getting drunk and getting into an accident or something like that. No, but something conscious, like
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna take my whole life savings and I'm gonna buy a smelting company. All right,
Mhm,
and I'm gonna make art pieces. I'm gonna make like
mm-hmm.
figurines out of bronze or something like that. Or I'm gonna invest all my life savings into a hot dog stand.
mhm,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, you could be not so successful. You could
mhm,
also turn around and sell that hot dog stand for more than you paid for it,
yeah.
for
mhm.
I've had,
example.
yeah, and it's like riding a horse or riding a bike. Get back on, keep on going, do something different the
Sure.
next time.
Yeah,
Now,
it's lo
the magic for me behind understanding these soul types is that you start out with a seed, an idea, uh, something you want to bring, something of value that you want to share with people, perhaps, or a vision that you've had, and you watch it grow,
Hmm.
and you
Hmm.
watch how each soul type affects how that plant
Mhm.
is growing, how that seed
Yep.
becomes a plant, and how it grows roots, and how it branches out, and how it evolves, and you take pride in it just like it's your own child, and it
Mhm.
gets more mature, and it evolves, and it expands, and
And
but all
sometimes you've
these
gotta
soul,
groom it and pull those dead pieces off and
yeah,
put that over there and
and
give
different
this a
soul
little more
types will come in, different soul types will come in and add
yeah.
value, make a
Right?
contrition, and then pull out.
Yep.
They're in and out, and so
Mhm, I've
that
seen that
is the
over and
beauty
over.
of creation, and
Absolutely.
seeing that more
Hmm.
from a soul perspective and a spiritual perspective as opposed to a cut and dry corporate, you
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
seeing it
Right.
as more of an organic evolution of an idea, and being willing to let go of ego enough to say, okay, well, that might not be the original vision I started out with, but it
Hmm.
sure is about 90% of what I wanted, or it's about eight, but it's feeling it, just being in love and enjoying. It's like your child. Your child might not always you might feel a little disappointed from time to time. But most parents I know, not all, but most parents, they love the
Hmm.
fact that their child has evolved and changed. They might not be perfect, but they're mine.
And
You know,
that goes.
Sometimes
you
they
know?
don't see the changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't.
Sometimes they don't
Yeah.
recognize and they have an
Yeah,
opinion or a perception in their mind of someone who you used to be, but you're
yeah.
no
Yeah.
longer that person, so they don't always evolve along with you, and
Hmm.
that's why you wanna stand in your truth and be who you are.
Yeah, I
Very.
remember a good example of that is when I was like 9 years old. For Christmas, my parents got me one of those light bright things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love
Oh,
those. My
come
sister had
Those
on!
things
that.
are
I
cool.
was like,
I loved
I
it.
was, and then I asked my parents, like, so
Light
why'd you get
bright,
me this?
making things
Uh,
look light bright.
And she was like, well, we got it for you because 2 years ago, when I was 8 years old, okay,
Yeah.
when I was 8 years old, I wanted this.
Uh-huh.
But so they bought it for me 2 years later, not taking into consideration that by then I was like 10 years old and I was more evolved,
Right. See,
beyond
like maybe a
something.
chemistry set would have been a
Maybe
little
something like
more
that would have been
apropos for
more.
you. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
So they got it for me because I wanted it 2 years ago. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a good example of why I always say no two situations are alike, and you
Hmm.
can't use the same strategy over and over again all the
Yeah.
time. You got to
Yeah.
think on the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
And for that, you need instinct. You also need like a whole library of experiences and knowledge that you can go back to
Yeah.
and say, okay, well, this is a situation very similar. It's also what one thing that's also proven useful to me. If somebody that I don't know reminds me of somebody who I do know, and I
Hmm.
know that person really well, and I know all their bad characteristics and their good characteristics,
You know
I'm
the
like,
type.
I know the type,
Hmm.
so I can pretty accurately gauge what type of person this he's going to be in my life, and either decide to like, oh yeah, I'm going to go with this person, or not go with this person,
Yeah.
or like stay away from him because he reminds me of evil this so and so or whatever. You know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Mm.
Yeah. Well, Mary says she just saw the UFO again. Mary Wynn
Uh-oh.
has something to share with you all. You tell us about it, Lori.
Yeah, so last night, late in the evening,
Mhm.
Mary witnessed something in the sky and she got some video of it. And it's pretty incredible. So you guys want to see that? See
Yes.
what she
Sure.
caught? It
Heck yeah.
reminds me a lot about what you and Brian Lunsford caught last year, was it? That blue orb thing?
Oh,
Yeah.
he had a couple, and I had one that hovered down in front of me, and it
Okay.
Yeah.
actually pointed me and then zoomed off. Yeah.
I took a picture of. I didn't even know I had taken this picture when I did. But Brian Lunsford, he ran it through an analyzer, and he came out with like it's like a perfect sphere with a section taken out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and like the circle missing. So it looks like
Gotcha.
one of the so-called Dropa stones, like a Dropa stone UFO that
Mm,
I took in Czech Republic.
Uh huh.
gotcha.
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Now she lives southwest. Does she live in LA, I believe, somewhere in that area,
I'm not
Southern
sure.
California? I'm
Speak up,
pretty
Mary.
sure.
What part of the
Yeah.
country are you in, Mary? Let's see if she could fire it
Yeah.
up here. Comes down to say hi. It comes down to say hi. Yeah, it came down to say hi, all right, but it just had
Yeah.
this evolving sphere and a
Yeah.
geometric shape, like a
All
Merkaba.
right. Well,
You
let's
know?
go ahead and
Yeah.
take a look at
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It looks like she's taking this with her cell phone. So
Okay.
and I've got it blown up as big as I can get it for you. But this is interesting. So here we go.
Yeah. 20 miles south of LA. Okay.
There you go. Now you can see it sparking, like it's illuminating light and like shimmery.
Uh huh. But see, it doesn't move like a craft up,
Mm-mm.
sharp angles.
Well, and she's also very highly zoomed in on her phone, I believe. And you know how hard it is to stabilize your phone?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But regardless of that, there is something in the sky right there,
Uh
and
huh.
she's captured it.
Yep.
And
It's
there's,
going to take a sudden. It's just going to take off any second now, which is what I thought was cool.
yeah, see it?
Mhm.
It's spinning, almost like it's spinning. That
Yeah, mine
light,
was too.
the
Mine was
frequency,
too, and it
and
came right
it
down.
looks a lot like it.
It does.
Yeah.
But mine got closer and closer and closer.
Now she had up to about 2 minutes of watching this, and I thought she did a great job keeping the camera nice and as still as she possibly could. Great capture.
And Mary, were you holding that in your hand, or was it on a tripod?
I'm pretty sure she was holding that.
Mine was on a stable
Oh,
tripod.
there it
There
went.
it goes.
Oh, okay.
Yep, see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. See, that's pretty cool. Then it did suddenly make a move. But I think later, doesn't it zip off to the right of the screen?
Yes, it did. And you could see it zip off, and then she was like, "Whoa, wait, where'd it go?" So no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She caught something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
See, when mine came down and did that, and it was in my face, it just went. It just
You're all peekaboo.
like it was
Well,
gone.
your neighbor saw it too. That's what was
Yeah.
incredible. But
Yeah, we were all
good
watching it.
catch, Mary Wins.
Good
Really
job,
good.
Mary.
Yeah.
She said it's back. She said
If
she
it's
just.
back, get some more photos.
She says there's
Record that.
more of it. Yeah,
Well, that's
another one
interesting.
out there.
I'm sure that Al and Perry see this kind of stuff a lot too, being out on the road.
He just
I've
said
s-
it.
Did he?
We see strange lights every week in New Mexico, but can't get zoomed in with phones while driving.
Yeah, it's difficult.
No,
I think she's really concentrating on keeping that phone
that's right.
as focused on that object as she can.
Here's John from Max Vision. Hi,
Yeah.
John.
Hi, John.
I don't know if you're having a class tonight or what. I heard Robert might go on tonight,
Yeah.
so I don't know if he is or not. But then Max, we said tomorrow night, I'm going to go on and say, join John with a conversation tomorrow night, and hopefully Lori, and we're going to try that, Max. We're going to give it a try. But anyway,
Awesome.
That's really cool,
Yeah.
Mary. Congrats.
Thank
yeah.
you, Mary.
So on her birthday tomorrow, she's going to get visited by a little blue alien. It's going to be Audrey wanting
And
a
her cousin.
taco. Audrey and her cousin
She has an alien
Michelle
taco.
are going to
Who
want
knows what's in that taco?
tacos, and you better have them ready, Mary.
I love it.
Interesting. I suppose that the only way to find out what it really is to analyze the spectrum of light coming from it
Yeah.
and see use a process of elimination. Like if it's sunlight, you could tell from the spectrum if it's sunlight, if it's something reflected from a heavenly body like the moon or whatever, and you could rule that out. And there's experts that have the capability of doing that, like Jim
Ooh.
Dilettoso, you know.
Excuse me, Dalibor, truth seeker. Yes, you're the one that lives here in Maryland with me. You're in the next town over. Is it Hyattstown or something? She saw a similar one here for quite a few days. Yes, and that might be the one that I have filmed a couple of times too. I'm in Damascus, so I'm not too far from you, truth seeker. I think you're close to me, but anyway, yeah, it hovers right over my neighborhood. And I've caught it a couple of times. So I'd love to see it, Truth Seeker.
Yeah.
Send it to us in an email if you can. Or...
Yep. Email's in the description for you.
Oh, yeah, Lori, speaking of emails.
Yeah, I just am queuing that up as we speak.
Yeah.
We have changed our email address. We can still get email on the old Andromeda 7 portal, but we've updated this to Andromeda 7 Celestial Gateway at gmail.com to match the title of the show.
Yeah. And I don't think the caps matter, right?
No.
They don't matter.
No.
It's easier to read this way.
Exactly. That's exactly why.
But yeah, so we still have the old one to refer to because I got a lot of contacts on there. We're bringing them over as
so
needed.
Either one will work for you.
Either one will work for now until we make a final cut over.
Yeah.
And then Queen of Courts Network, we have that as well.
Yep.
Karen has done some more updating to that. So go take a look at that, folks.
And that's in the description for you. Just click on the link. And the link looks like something like that.
Yeah.
So look for that in the description or pause your phone.
Also, if you want more information about these soul types and how Anne interviewed a panel of all these soul types that came from different projects, and they explained what challenges them, what concerns them, what some of their feelings of satisfaction are, how they look at the other soul types, why they're so attracted to them in the project, in the creation process, and why they value them. And so she interviewed a bunch of people. So we put her link to her channel, to that channel in because she has two different channels in the description. So you can go over there and get hear firsthand some of these folks.
As I would always point out, since there's 7 of them, I'm sure that they correspond to, each one of those corresponds to one of the 7 chakras, one of the 7 alchemical principles, one of the 7 classical planets that the ancients knew about. So, you know, there's going to be correspondences there that could that might be useful.
Good point, Dalibor. Good one.
Yeah.
Awesome sauce.
So got that, and then on Queen of Courts, go visit Marsha's Inspirations. She's got some new stuff out, and
Oh, cool.
Of course, always crystals.
I
Always
like
cranking out some goodies there, you know.
I'm starting to get to the end of my stuff, so I'm going to need some more soap soon.
All right,
I'll have
folks.
to
Well,
order.
if you ever want to share some stories or experiences, or like Mary just did, if you ever want to send in anything you want us to put
Mhm.
up here, we'll be glad to do it. Poems that you've written, anything that you would like to have shared.
You want to share it?
You're a little
Mm,
camera shy. You don't
mm.
want to come on. We'll read it for you.
Delaney Jones, that
in there.
includes you. Delaney
Yeah.
has sent a few things. But yeah, if you ever want to put something up here, because she really does, she's got stuff going on.
Yeah, I know. I've seen some of her stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Yep, yep.
right.
All right. Anything else, Delabor?
Not that I can think of. Yeah.
Just
Great
happy.
show, you guys.
Just be safe out there. Have a great Halloween and
Mhm.
happy trick or treating.
And don't eat too much chocolate.
You can never have too much chocolate. I should know.
All right.
I should
All right.
know.
Peace
All
and
right,
love to
all right.
everybody. Thank you so
Peace,
much.
love, and chocolate fudge.
Peace.
There you go.